Texas has been the #1 oil-producing state since at least 1960, far ahead of any other state. It's so far ahead, in fact, that if Texas were its own country, it would be the world's third largest oil-producing country, trailing only Russia and Saudi Arabia. So what makes Texas such a powerhouse in oil? How much oil has it produced historically relative to other states? And how does Texas compare to countries around the world in terms of oil production? Let's look into this. But first, if you enjoy these types of videos, please subscribe and support us because we would really appreciate it. Thanks. We started looking into this question because an interesting article from Politico highlighted that Pennsylvania recently surpassed North Dakota as the second largest oil-producing state. According to them, this is mostly due to North Dakota's declining output because of a lack of pipeline capacity that forces them to transport their oil by train, which is slower and more expensive than pipelines and results in less profit. This means that now the top 3 oil-producing states are Texas, North Dakota, and Pennsylvania. But just how far ahead of those states is Texas? To find out, we looked at data from the Energy Information Administration, or EIA. We learned that in 2023, Texas accounted for about 43% of the U.S. crude oil production, coming in at about 2 billion barrels, while North Dakota came in second at about 1.2 billion barrels, or about 23% of the total U.S. crude oil production. Pennsylvania came in third at about half of North Dakota's production, or 600 million barrels. In fourth place was California with just under 600 million barrels, and in fifth place was New Mexico with about 450 million barrels. You can see the rest of the states in the bar chart on this slide. It's even more impressive when you consider that Texas was not always the largest producer. For most of the early years of oil production in the United States, the top spot bounced around among several states. As you can see here, from 1920 to 1927, the top spot was held by California, then Oklahoma, then Texas, then California again, and finally Texas, where it has remained ever since. By 1927, Texas had become the leader in cumulative oil production among all states and still remains the all-time leader, producing about 80 billion barrels through 2022. That number represents nearly 3 times the total of second-place California. Texas's rapid ascent to the top of the leaderboard happened thanks to one of the most prolific oil fields in history, discovered in 1901 near the town of Spindletop. This discovery is considered to be the beginning of the modern petroleum age. There are many videos already available on Spindletop, so if you want to learn more about it, feel free to check those out. The EIA estimates that the Spindletop Dome contains approximately 20 billion barrels of recoverable oil. However, this is just one of many large oil deposits found in Texas. Over the years, many more have been found, including the East Texas field, which alone contains an estimated 15 billion barrels of recoverable oil. Others include the Glen Pool, the Ranger, the Marshes, and of course, the more recent Permian Basin and Eagle Ford Shale. Texas's dominance in U.S. oil production isn't a new phenomenon. It has consistently produced more crude oil than the next highest state since at least 1960. Even in 1988, when California hit its peak production of about 1 billion barrels per year, Texas still produced nearly double that amount. This wide gap persists today, with Texas producing roughly 4 times as much crude oil as the next largest producer, North Dakota. If Texas were its own country, it would rank as the 3rd largest crude oil producer globally, trailing only Russia and Saudi Arabia. In 2023, it would also be the world's 5th largest producer of natural gas, behind the United States, Russia, Iran, and China. Another aspect that helps keep Texas ahead of the pack is its extensive refining capacity. As you can see here, Texas has 34 refineries that can process nearly 6.3 million barrels per day, nearly double that of any other state. This means that Texas is able to take advantage of the full value chain of oil production, from extraction to refining to distribution. Now let's look at why Texas has such a high level of cumulative oil production. The story goes back to 1901, when the Spindletop Dome was discovered. This discovery kicked off a rush to drill for oil in East Texas, leading to the famous East Texas oil boom of the 1930s. This period saw the development of new technologies and techniques for drilling and extracting oil, which helped to establish Texas as a major oil producer. One example is the invention of the rotary drill bit, which allowed for faster and more efficient drilling. Additionally, the discovery of the East Texas field itself, which contained an estimated 15 billion barrels of recoverable oil, was a significant event that helped to cement Texas's position in the industry. The production rose steadily throughout the 20th century, reaching almost 1 billion barrels per year by 1972. However, it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were periods of decline, such as during the 1980s oil price crash. Nonetheless, Texas continued to invest in new technologies and infrastructure, such as hydraulic fracturing and horizontal drilling, which enabled the state to tap into previously inaccessible reserves. These advancements allowed Texas to pump more oil out of the ground while using fewer wells. For example, in 2000, Texas used about 240,000 wells to produce 1.7 billion barrels of oil. But by 2022, it used about 110,000 wells to produce 2 billion barrels of oil. That means that Texas has cut its well count by nearly 55% in just 2 decades while maintaining the same level of production. The combination of new extraction techniques, vast deposits, and new infrastructure has allowed Texas to continue to lead the nation in oil production. For example, 2 of the largest oil fields in the United States, the Permian Basin and Eagle Ford Shale, are located in Texas. The Permian Basin, which spans parts of both Texas and New Mexico, is the largest oil field in the country, containing an estimated 75 billion barrels of recoverable oil. Meanwhile, the Eagle Ford Shale, located entirely within Texas, contains an estimated 30 billion barrels of recoverable oil. Other important oil deposits in Texas include the Austin Chalk, the Gulf Coast, and the Panhandle Plains. Each of these regions has its own unique geology and extraction techniques which contribute to the state's overall oil production. So there you have it. Texas has maintained a historic and robust lead in oil production compared to other top states. This is driven by prolific hydrocarbon deposits, continuous innovation in extraction technology, and development of supporting infrastructure. It will be very interesting to see how long Texas maintains this lead and whether any other states are able to catch up. If you enjoyed this video, you might also like our video on why Saudi Arabia has so much oil. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Did you know that the state of Texas is considered the backbone of energy independence for the entire United States? That might seem surprising because, after all, we're talking about an enormous country with many states. But when it comes to oil production, the Lone Star State plays a vital role that no other state can replicate. In this video, we will delve into the depths of Texas's oil industry and uncover why experts believe it is so critical to the United States' energy future. Alright. Welcome back to our channel, where we share exciting developments in the world of oil and energy. If you're not already part of our community, consider subscribing now to stay updated with us. Let's dive right in. At the heart of Texas's significance in energy production lies its dominant share in the nation's crude oil output. In 2023, Texas produced approximately 5.69 billion barrels of crude oil, accounting for a staggering 40% of the total crude oil produced in the United States. Additionally, Texas boasts the largest natural gas production in the country, with approximately 18.4 trillion cubic feet produced in 2023. It represents a remarkable 25% of the nation's total natural gas output. These figures underscore the indispensable role of Texas in meeting the United States' domestic energy needs. By harnessing these vast resources within its borders, the country can significantly reduce its reliance on imported oil, enhancing energy independence and security. Moreover, the impact of Texas production extends beyond just meeting domestic demand. It influences global energy markets as well. For instance, in April of 2024, the state produced 6,073,000 barrels of oil per day, marking a new record high in output. As a result, the U.S. became the world's top crude oil producer, surpassing even Saudi Arabia with an average daily production of nearly 13 million barrels in the same month. Texas's ability to produce such substantial quantities of oil has positioned the United States as a dominant force in the global oil market. And this prominence offers several significant advantages. Firstly, it enhances energy independence by reducing reliance on foreign oil imports, which can be subject to geopolitical uncertainties and price fluctuations. Additionally, the increased domestic production bolsters the nation's energy security, ensuring a more stable and resilient energy supply. Furthermore, the United States' position as a top oil producer strengthens its influence on global energy markets, allowing it to play a pivotal role in shaping international energy policies and agreements. This prominence provides leverage in negotiations and enables the country to advance its interests on the global stage. Moreover, the growth of the oil industry in Texas and other parts of the country has significant economic implications. It creates numerous job opportunities, not only directly in the extraction and refining processes but also indirectly in supporting industries such as transportation and manufacturing. The revenue generated from oil production contributes to state and local economies, funding essential services and infrastructure. But Texas's contributions to energy independence extend far beyond just oil production. The state's extensive oil and gas infrastructure plays a crucial role in supporting energy independence. Texas possesses an extensive network of pipelines, refineries, and other infrastructure that facilitates the efficient extraction, processing, and distribution of oil and gas resources. Let's take a closer look at the key components of this robust infrastructure. Pipelines. Texas has the most extensive pipeline network in the United States with more than 586,000 miles of pipelines as of 2023 data. This extensive pipeline system enables the safe and efficient transportation of crude oil, natural gas, and refined products throughout the state and beyond. Refineries. Texas is home to 32 petroleum refineries as of 2023, making it the state with the most refineries in the country. These refineries have a combined refining capacity of nearly 6 million barrels per day, which accounts for approximately one-third of the total refining capacity in the United States. This robust refining capacity ensures that a significant portion of the nation's crude oil can be processed domestically, reducing reliance on foreign imports. Ports and terminals. Texas has several major ports and terminals that serve as critical hubs for the import and export of oil and gas products. For example, the Port of Houston is one of the largest in the nation and serves as a major gateway for the import of foreign crude oil and the export of refined products. Together, this extensive infrastructure ensures the seamless flow of oil and gas resources within Texas and across the United States. It enables the efficient extraction, processing, storage, transportation, and distribution of these vital energy commodities. The robust pipeline network, coupled with the strategic location of refineries and ports, positions Texas as a key player in the nation's energy independence. Another factor contributing to Texas's importance in energy independence is the presence of substantial strategic petroleum reserves. These reserves serve as a buffer against unexpected supply disruptions or emergencies, ensuring a steady supply of oil for the nation. One of the most significant reserves is the Strategic Petroleum Reserve located in underground facilities in Texas. This reserve has a capacity of approximately 417 million barrels of oil, representing a considerable portion of the nation's total oil supply. By holding these strategic reserves within the state, the United States can mitigate risks associated with geopolitical conflicts, natural disasters, or other unforeseen events that could impact energy security. Furthermore, the SPR's presence in Texas allows for flexibility in accessing these reserves. The state's extensive pipeline infrastructure enables the efficient transportation of oil from the reserve to strategic locations across the country when needed. This strategic advantage ensures that in times of crisis or heightened demand, the SPR can quickly release oil to stabilize markets and meet the nation's requirements. The presence of these reserves in Texas not only bolsters national energy security, but also reinforces the state's crucial role in the country's energy independence. Texas stands as a beacon for liquefied natural gas or LNG exports in the United States. The state's strategic location, extensive infrastructure, and abundant natural gas resources make it a prime location for exporting LNG to global markets. Several factors contribute to Texas's preeminence in LNG exports. Firstly, the state's geographical position along the Gulf Coast provides a natural advantage for maritime transport. Major seaports such as those in Houston and Corpus Christi offer direct access to international waterways, facilitating the shipment of LNG to various global destinations. Secondly, Texas has invested heavily in developing world-class LNG export facilities. These terminals are equipped with advanced technologies that enable the liquefaction, storage, and transportation of natural gas to meet the growing global demand. Notably, Texas is home to some of the largest and most sophisticated LNG terminals in the country. The abundance of natural gas resources in Texas plays a pivotal role in supporting its LNG export industry. The state is situated within some of the most prolific natural gas deposits in North America, including the Haynesville, Eagle Ford, and Permian basins. These basins are renowned for their vast reserves of natural gas, providing a reliable and sustainable resource base for LNG production. Moreover, Texas has made significant investments in developing its natural gas infrastructure. An extensive network of pipelines transports natural gas from the extraction sites to the liquefaction facilities, ensuring efficient and safe transportation. The prominence of Texas in LNG exports has several implications for the state's economy and the nation's energy independence. Firstly, the LNG industry creates numerous job opportunities in construction, operation, and maintenance, contributing to the economic growth of the region. Secondly, LNG exports generate substantial revenue for Texas and the United States as a whole, enhancing the country's position as a major energy player on the global stage. By exporting LNG to international markets, Texas helps reduce reliance on foreign oil and gas imports, strengthening the nation's energy security. In conclusion, Texas is undeniably the king of U.S. oil with its dominant production, extensive infrastructure, strategic reserves, and export capabilities. Its contributions to energy independence are indispensable. The state's prolific oil and gas resources, coupled with its robust extraction and refining capabilities, ensure a steady domestic supply, reducing reliance on foreign imports. The vast pipeline network, strategic location of refineries, and major ports facilitate the efficient movement and export of oil and gas products. Substantial strategic petroleum reserves provide a buffer against supply disruptions, ensuring energy security. Additionally, Texas leads the nation in liquefied natural gas exports, further enhancing the country's energy independence. The economic and geopolitical implications of Texas's oil dominance are profound. By producing and exporting oil and gas, Texas creates numerous job opportunities and generates substantial revenue. It reduces the United States' dependence on foreign energy sources and strengthens its position as a global energy player. In essence, the oil industry in Texas is the backbone of energy independence for both the state and the nation. Its contributions are vital to meeting domestic demand, securing energy supplies, and advancing the country's economic and geopolitical interests. As technology advances and extraction methods improve, Texas is poised to continue its reign as the oil capital of the United States, ensuring a prosperous future for the industry and the communities it supports. And that's all for today. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the heart of Texas's oil dominance. We hope you found this exploration of the state's crucial role in the U.S. oil industry insightful. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay informed about our latest updates. Feel free to drop your thoughts, questions, or comments down below. Your engagement means the world to us. Thanks again for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Over the past decade, Texas has experienced an oil and gas boom like never before. With millions of new wells drilled across the state, particularly in regions like the Permian Basin, the Eagle Ford Shale, and the Barnett Shale, Texas has become the largest oil producer in the United States. But this rapid expansion of fossil fuel extraction has come at a cost. This is a special report from our series on the environmental impacts of the oil and gas industry in Texas. We will cover how this boom has affected the environment, public health, and local communities. Let's get started. Water pollution and contamination. For many residents who live near the Permian Basin in West Texas, having a well for clean drinking water is not an option but a necessity. However, there are growing concerns about the safety of their water. This is because the region's vast oil fields have attracted thousands of oil and gas operations that collectively impact the area's water resources. Well owners contend that pollution is seeping into their water supply from these operations. The most common type of pollution is linked to spills such as the one that occurred in February 2023 when a pipeline owned by Plains All American Pipeline spilled over 4,000 barrels of oil into a canal near the town of McCamey. Such incidents highlight the potential dangers of transporting oil through pipelines, exposing both the environment and local communities to the risk of contamination. Then there's the issue of radioactive fracking waste. According to data obtained by Environmental Working Organization, since 2019, oil companies have disposed of over 21 million gallons of fracking wastewater that contains radioactive materials near aquifers in Texas. What is alarming is that this figure only includes records from a subset of the oil companies operating in the state. The true number could be even higher. And it gets worse. A ProPublica investigation found that thousands of wells across Texas used for oil and gas extraction are leaking hazardous substances, further contaminating the environment. Of the approximately 450,000 wells inspected in Texas between 2017 and 2022, nearly 14,000 showed signs of physical deterioration and posed a high risk of leaking. This deterioration is often due to the aging infrastructure, with many wells installed decades ago. Surprisingly, the Texas Railroad Commission, the state agency responsible for overseeing oil and gas operations, has yet to identify a single leaking well. Instead, they primarily focus on capturing data and enforcing rules related to the storage and disposal of fracking wastewater. The problem is that current regulations fail to address the issue of deteriorating well infrastructure, leaving communities vulnerable to potential contamination. Adding to these concerns, Texas produces about 26 billion barrels of wastewater every year. Much of this wastewater is injected back into the ground, a process that raises questions about its long-term safety. For instance, in 2021, a study published in the journal Environmental Science and Technology found that produced water from the oil and gas industry had contaminated the groundwater of the Southern High Plains aquifer with uranium and other toxic metals. This aquifer supplies water to communities in Texas and New Mexico, underscoring the potential risks of wastewater disposal practices. Another pressing issue is the legal dumping of produced water, which is a byproduct of fracking and extraction processes into rivers and creeks in Texas. Despite being legally permitted, this practice poses significant risks to the ecological health of aquatic ecosystems and can contaminate livestock water sources. For example, in 2020, Phillips 66 discharged over 5 billion gallons of produced water into the Canadian River in Texas over a period of just 3 months. The situation is made worse by the lack of federal regulations governing the disposal of produced water, leaving it up to states like Texas to establish their own standards, which, as we've seen, may not always be adequate to protect the environment and public health. These issues highlight the need for stronger regulations and monitoring of oil and gas operations in Texas to prevent contamination of precious water resources. Communities relying on groundwater for drinking water, irrigation, and other essential uses deserve better protection against the risks associated with these activities. Air pollution. As the oil and gas boom continues to transform the landscape of Texas, so does its impact on air quality. According to estimates, there are now over 600,000 active oil and gas wells in Texas, each contributing to varying degrees of air pollution. Recent research suggests that the Permian Basin alone releases enough pollutants every year to impact the health of over 10 million people. Among the most significant air toxins released are benzene, sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and methane. Benzene, a known carcinogen, is emitted from both natural gas and crude oil systems. Exposure to this chemical can lead to blood disorders, anemia, and acute leukemia. Sulfur dioxide is another major concern, particularly in areas where natural gas is processed. It can cause respiratory problems, especially for children and the elderly. Hydrogen sulfide is released during the extraction and processing of oil and gas and poses risks to both human health and the environment. High concentrations can lead to headaches, nausea, dizziness, and even death. Finally, methane, the primary component of natural gas, is a potent greenhouse gas contributing to global warming. In 2022, the Permian Basin was found to emit more methane than the entire nation of Brazil, highlighting the scale of this issue. Studies show that oil and gas operations contribute to the formation of ground-level ozone, a major component of smog. Exposure to ozone can cause respiratory problems, particularly for children, the elderly, and those with pre-existing lung conditions. Asthma rates among children living near oil and gas operations in North Texas were found to be elevated, suggesting a clear link between air pollution and respiratory health. Despite these risks, air pollution monitoring stations are scarce in the Permian Basin, hindering effective regulation and enforcement of air quality standards. Most of the monitoring is concentrated in urban areas like Dallas and Houston, leaving the vast oil-rich regions of West Texas largely understudied. This lack of data makes it difficult to assess the full extent of air pollution from oil and gas operations in the Permian Basin. On top of that, the oil and gas industry remains one of the largest industrial sources of climate pollution in the world. Between 2009 and 2021, the industry was responsible for 30% of total U.S. climate pollution. So as Texas continues to expand oil production, it is crucial to invest in robust air pollution monitoring, stricter regulations, and cleaner production methods to safeguard the health of its residents and the sustainability of its environment. Methane and greenhouse gas emissions. While the oil and gas industry plays a significant role in meeting energy demands, it also has a substantial impact on greenhouse gas emissions. According to a study published in the journal PNAS, methane leaks from oil production account for nearly a quarter of total greenhouse gas emissions from the sector. These emissions not only contribute to global warming, but also pose risks to human health and the environment. In fact, methane is 84 times more effective at trapping heat in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide over a 20-year period. And as oil production expands in Texas, so do the associated greenhouse gas emissions. In 2022, the Environmental Defense Fund estimated that the Permian Basin alone is responsible for 4% of total U.S. climate pollution, making it the single largest climate polluter in the country. Projections indicate that if current trends continue, Texas oil and gas operations are on track to produce over 1.5 gigatons of CO2 annually by 2030. This would account for nearly a quarter of the state's total CO2 emissions. To put this into perspective, the Paris Climate Agreement aims to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, which requires reaching net zero by 2050, would give us a better chance of avoiding the worst impacts of climate change. Texas's projected emissions trajectory undermines these goals. By 2030, Texas plans to produce over 5 million barrels of oil per day. If emission levels remain unchanged, this would result in a doubling of emissions per barrel since 2012. Therefore, it is imperative that we explore strategies to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions from oil and gas operations in order to ensure a sustainable energy future. Habitat destruction and biodiversity loss. The environmental impact of Texas's oil and gas boom extends beyond air and water pollution. The construction and operation of oil wells, pipelines, and other infrastructure fragment and degrade natural habitats, impacting plant and animal life in several ways. For example, the oil and gas industry's use of land for drilling, processing, and transportation facilities directly removes and fragments natural habitats. This fragmentation isolates populations of plants and animals, disrupting ecological processes and reducing genetic diversity. Additionally, The industry's activities can lead to the introduction of invasive species, which outcompete native species for resources and disrupt fragile ecosystems. The oil and gas industry is a major contributor to habitat loss and biodiversity decline. The expansion of oil fields into sensitive habitats, including wetlands and grasslands, destroys critical ecosystems and threatens endangered species. For instance, the habitat loss caused by oil and gas operations in South Texas has led to declines in the population of ocelots, a rare cat species. The degradation of wetland habitats in Louisiana and Mississippi has impacted numerous bird species, including herons, egrets, and ibises. Earthquake risk. The rapid injection of huge volumes of wastewater underground used for disposal has been linked to an increase in seismic activity, leading to more frequent and intense earthquakes in parts of Texas. Understanding the relationship between wastewater disposal and earthquakes is crucial for protecting both human lives and the environment. Community impact and environmental justice. Today, millions of Texans live within close proximity to oil infrastructure. This proximity exposes them to multiple forms of pollution simultaneously, including air, water, noise, and light pollution. In particular, Hispanic communities living near the Eagle Ford Shale in South Texas have raised concerns about the impact of oil and gas operations on their health and well-being. These communities face disproportionate exposure to pollution, flaring, and other environmental burdens associated with the oil and gas industry. This raises environmental justice concerns as marginalized communities often bear a heavier burden of environmental pollution and health risks. To address these concerns, policymakers must prioritize the rights of all communities to a clean and healthy environment. This includes ensuring equitable access to environmental benefits, protecting vulnerable populations from disproportionate environmental burdens, and fostering meaningful community engagement in environmental decision-making processes. Furthermore, strengthening regulations and enforcement mechanisms is crucial to hold polluters accountable and prevent environmental harm. By acknowledging and addressing these disparities, we can work towards a more sustainable and equitable future for all Texans. Weak regulatory oversight. Texas has faced criticism for its minimal regulatory oversight on pollution controls and air quality monitoring. Policies such as the one allowing the disposal of produced water into rivers and creeks despite its potential ecological impact have raised concerns. The state's approach to regulating the oil and gas industry has left many communities grappling with legacy pollution without sufficient governmental remediation or protections. Strengthening regulatory oversight and adopting stricter pollution control measures are essential to safeguarding the health of both communities and the environment. In conclusion, while the oil and gas boom has undoubtedly brought economic benefits to Texas, it is crucial to acknowledge and address the significant environmental and health challenges it has created. From water and air pollution to habitat destruction and earthquake risks, the impacts are widespread and far-reaching. Moving forward, striking a balance between economic development and environmental sustainability will be crucial for the future of Texas. By investing in clean energy, promoting energy efficiency, and embracing sustainable practices, Texas can pave the way for a greener and more sustainable future. Addressing these issues head-on is not only an environmental imperative, but also a matter of social responsibility and economic foresight.